Alright, subpart I, positive training and positive training control systems. This is part 236 of Title 49 CFR Federal Railroad Administration dot 236-1001. Purpose of the scope. The subpart prescribes the minimum of the performance based on the standards for the positive train control of the systems required for the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20157 with the subpart FRA order, including the requirements to ensure that the development, functionality, architectural installation, implementation, inspection, testing, operation, maintenance, repair, modification, and positive train control systems will achieve and maintain acceptable level of safety. The subpart is also prescribed standards to ensure the person working with the effective with the safety critical to the positive train control system related to the product receive appropriate training and testing. Each railroad to prescribe the additional more stringent rules than other special instructions that are not inconsistent with the subpart. Subpart does not exempt the railroad with compliance with the requirement for the subparts A through H of the part with the part 233, 234, and 235 of this chapter, unless is otherwise explicitly expected by this part. The applicable PTSCP is defined with the statute 236-103, approved by the FRA with the statute 236-1015, provides such an exemption under the statute 236-1013. 236-1003. Definitions contained with the subpart G and H, but the part with the AR part apply equally to the subpart. The following definitions apply with the terms used with only subpart unless otherwise stated. After arrival of the mandatory directive means of authority to occupy the track with the issue with the train with the non-effective is not to be used to pass act upon until they revel the passing with the train specifically identified with the authority of the associated administrator, meaning with the FRA, the associated administrator of the railroad safety chief of the administrator officer, class 1 railroad means for the railroad which is last year with the relevant revenues with the report of the exceeding the thresholds established with the regulation of the Surface Transportation Board, Title CFR Part 1200 1.1-1. The clear text means for the unexcerpted the text for the original human of readable with the form of the inability with the description of the insight for the process for the output with the deciphering process. Control locomotive means the locomotive controlling defined in statute 232.5 of the chapter. Host of the railroad means the railroad must have effective operating control over the segment of the track and operability and the ability with the controlling locomotive with the communicating with the respond with the positive control railroad's positive train control system, including the boundary interpretive movement of the property boundaries. Limited operation minimum means for the operation of the main line track with a limited no freight operation for the approved the limited to receive the part of the positive train control system implementation operation requirements in accordance with the statute 236-1013-19C. Mainline means for expected to provide with the statute 236-1019 and where all trains are limited to restricted speed with the terminal areas and auxiliary in industry tracks and segments around with the railroad tracks. Over the course of one with the one railroads, are documented the current timetable by the Class 1 railroad with the FRA under Statute 217.7 with the title over the which the 5 million or more gross tons of the railroad traffic is transported annually. To use regularly scheduled intercity with the Commerce Railway passenger trip with defined with the statute 49 U.S. Standard Code 24102 or both towards seen historic where the exertion operations defined in Part 238 with the subpart are not considered intercity with the commuter passenger trip for the purpose of the SPART mainline track exclusion addendum of the MTEA means the documents submitted with the statute 236-1011, 236-1019 requesting the designated track as other mainline. Medium speed means the speed or medium of the defined subpart G of this part. The MPI means notice of product intent, and notice of product intent is further described in Statute 236-1013-9. PIH materials means poisonous by inhalation, defined with the Statute 171.8, 173.11.5, 173.132 of this title. Positive train control means for the positive train PTC means positive train control is further described in statute 236-1.5. Positive train control plus development plan further described in statute 236-1013. Positive train control implementation plan PTC-IP as required in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20157 and further described in 236-1011. Positive train control (PVL) means positive train control product ventilation vendors list. Positive train control product vendor list is further described in statute 236-1023. Alright, positive train control, SP, or safety plan, further described 236-1015. Positive control railroad means for the either class 1 railroad, either entity provided with the regulations scheduled in the intercity for the commuter railroad passenger transportation required to implement the positive train control. Positive train control system certification means that the certification required for the under Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20157, further described in Statute 236-1009 and 236-1015. Request for amendment, RFA, request for an amendment of the plan and system plan for the positive train control railroad in accordance with the Statute 236-1021. Request for expeditious certification, REC, meaning that the further described in Statute 236-1031. Request for the railroad to be excited with the consideration post positive train control positive train control system certification. Restrictions means the speed, but the restriction with the define the subpart G with the state. This part safe state means with the system state that it was not when the system failed cannot cover the death, injury, occupational illness, the damage of the loss of equipment, the property, the damage of the environment, segment of the track means for any of the part of the railroad with the train operation. Temporary separation means that the passenger freight of the operation do not operate with any of the segment shared track of the during the same period as further defined in Statute 236-1019, but the process or process in play to assure the result. Tenant railroad means the railroad with the hosting and railroad operating with the track over the positive train system is required. Track segment means the segment of the track. Track segment. Overspeed derailments include the derailment of the railroad, typical engineering speed restrictions, slow orders with excessive speed over the switch throughout the turnarounds. 3. The inclusion of established work with the zone limit of the first received with the appropriate authority for the verification dispatcher road work with the charge for the applicable in accordance with the part 214 of the chapter. 4. The move of the train through the mainline switch with the improper position with the further described in paragraph E with the section E2. They include the safety critical integration with the authority for the indicated for the other wayside cab signals and or other. I went off the track. Track segment means the segment of the track. Train type approval means the number assigned with a particular with the positive train control and indicate with the FRA agreement with the positive train control system could fulfill the requirements of the subpart train means the one or more locomotives coupled with without cars. 236-1005 requirement of the positive train control system. Positive train control system requires each of the positive train control systems required to be installed within a subpart shall reliability functional preventive of the train-to-train collision, including the collision between the train operating with over the rail to guide grade crossing coordinates with the following risk in the table. The alternative range of providing equivalent level of safety specified in FRA approval. The post positive train control safety plan. A. Interlocking one or more of the positive train control routes, intersecting one or more of the non-positive train control routes, 40 miles or greater miles an hour. Interlocking signal arrangement in accordance with the requirements of subpart A and 2G, but the subpart positive train control is forced to stop all positive train control routes. B. Interlocking one or more of the positive train routes, intersecting with the one or more non-positive train routes less than 40 miles an hour. Interlocking signal arrangement according with the requirements of subpart A and G. Positive train control stops on all positive train routes. Either the use of the other than positive train control technology provides positive stop, force power split point derailment incorporated with a single system accompanied with about 20 miles per maximum level speed limit non-approachable of the intersection non-positive train control route. Interlocking all positive train control routes intersecting any speed interlocking signal arrangements in accordance with the requirements of subpart A and G with the positive train controlment enforces stops on all routes. Alright, overspeed with the derailment include the derailments related with the railroad, civil engineering with the speed restrictions, slow order with the excessive speed with the switch through the turnouts and triggers with the established work with the zone limit without receiving the appropriate authority, the verification and or from the dispatcher for the road work with the in charge of the applicable in accordance with the part 214 of the chapter, the movement of the train through the main line and switch with the improper proposition for the described in paragraph E of the section to include safety critical integration with all the authorities, indication for the wayside with the cab signals or other similar applying for the method device system, equivalent safety within the manner with the positive train system. The system shall be provided with associated warning and enforcement to the extent except for the described and justified with the FRA approved with the positive train DSP and safety plan with the applicable. Alright, as applicable to perform additional function with the specified in the subpart to provide appropriate warning with the enforcement when a derail switching protection access to the main line required by 236-1007 otherwise provided for and The applicable positive train control safety plan does not enter rerouting the protecting position respectively, and mandatory directive issued with the associated with the highway rail grade or crossing warning system malfunction as required in statute 234-105, 234-106, 234-107. Any after arrival mandatory directive that has been issued with the trains yet and not trains to be waited but have not yet been past the location of the receiving train. Any movable bridge within the route ahead is not in a position with allowable permissive indicated with the train movement pursuant to statute 236-312. A hazard detector integrated with the positive train control system that's required for the paragraph C with the section otherwise provided with the applicable positive train control safety plan detects on unsafe condition and transmit the alarm limit over the speed of the passenger freight trains of 59 miles per hour with 49 miles per hour respectively in areas without broken rail detection equivalent safeguards. Positive train control system installation lines are required to be equipped except with otherwise provided with the subpart each for the class 1 railroad, each railroad providing with the host in intercity or commuter passenger service shall progressively equipped its line with the provided in its approved positive train control IP plan, such as that on the after December 31st, 2015, the positive train control system certified under statute 236-1015 is installed and operated on the host railroad on each main line over which the transportation with the quantity of the material with the poison of the inhalation, including an anhydrous ammonia as defined in the statute 171, 173, 115, 173, 132 over this title. The main line used for the regularity provided intercity for the commuter passenger services provided in statute 236-1019. And 3, additional line with the railroad as required with the applicable the FRA approved with the positive train implementation plan as support with the FRA order required the installation of the positive train control system as dated. Initial baseline identification to line. For the purpose of the paragraph of the B11 for the section baseline information necessary for determining whether the class 1 railroad track segment shall be equipped with the positive train control system, shall determine with the report as follows. The traffic density threshold of 3 to 5 million gross tons shall be based upon the calendar year for the 2008 gross tons, except for the extent where the traffic may fall below 5 million gross tons for the 2 for the consecutive calendar year for the positive train control system implementation plan over the request for amendment, the reflection of the change for the approved under the paragraph B4 for the section, if applicable, to statute 236-1021. The presence or absence of any of the quantity of the positive inhalation hazard materials determine whether the one over the more the capable cars containing such products was transported over the track segments in the calendar year of 2008 prior to the filling of the positive train control implementation plan, except for the extent of the positive control implementation plan. The IMPRA request for amendment that justifies the under the paragraph B4 of the section removal of the subject track segment from the positive train control implementation plan listing with the lines to be equipped. Through addition of the track segment, to the extent of the increase of the freight of the rail traffic of the subsequent calendar year of 2008, with the mandate effect of the requirement of the install of the positive train control system on any line not equipped, the railroad shall seek to amend with the positive train control implementation plan properly, the filing of the request for amendment in accordance with the statute 236-1021, but the following criteria to apply with the railroad traffic exceed 5 million gross tons in any year after 2008. The tonnage shall be calculated for the preceding of the 2 calendar year if the total tonnage for those of the 2 calendar years exceed the 10 million gross tons. A positive train control implementation plan is amendment that will required. If the poison inhalation hazard traffic is carried on the track of the segment as a result of the request for the rail service, the rerouting of the line warranted under the part of his 172 with the style, if the line with the carrier the excess for 5 million gross tons of the rail traffic is determined on the paragraph of the positive train control implementation plan is amended to require that does not apply with the temporary rerouting with the authorized in accordance with the paragraph G of this section. 3. Once the railroad is notified of the FRA with the FRA field with the accordance with the paragraph that has been approved, the railroad shall equip the line with the applicable positive train control system by December 31st, 2015, or within 24 months, whichever is less. Exclusion of the removal of the track segment with the positive control baseline, positive train control baseline. The rerouting with the chain, the positive train control implementation plan of the request for amendment with the railroad may request review with the requirements for the installation of positive train control with the track segment with the positive train control system and otherwise required with the section, but has not yet been installed based upon the change with the rail traffic excessive reduction of the total traffic volume of the 2 level below 5 million gross tons annually. The cessation of the passenger service over the approval of the MTEA and concession with the poisonous inhalation material traffic in such requests that the accompanied with the estimated traffic projection for the next 5 years as a result of the plan with the rerouting of the coordination relocated for the new business of the line. The FRA will approve the exclusion request with the pursuant in the paragraph of the B41 with the section for the railroad establishes that the December 31st, 2015, no passenger service will be present with involved with the track segment or the passenger service will be subject to an MTA MTEA approved the accordance with the Title 49 CFR 236-1019. No poisonous inhalation traffic will be present on the involved track segment, or the gross tonnage for the involved track segment will decline below the 5 million gross tonnage annually with the computed over the 2-year period. 3. Freight lines with the minimum risk of not use of the regulator provided by the intercity with the commuter railway passenger service and the positive train control implementation plan with any request for forward the railroad may request the review of the requirements to do install the positive train control system on the track segment of the where the positive train control system is otherwise required within this section but has not yet been installed based upon the presence of the minimal quantity of the poisonous inhalants and hazardous material, the poisonous inhalation materials, and such requests should be accompanied by an estimated traffic projection for the next 5 years, EGA of the result plan for rerouting coordination with the location new business within the line, where the requesting involves prior to the plan of rerouting of the poisonous and hazardous material traffic. The railroad must provide information analysis identified in the paragraph B41 of this section. The submission shall also include the full description of the potential safety hazard within the segment of the track of the fully described train operation over the line. The paragraph does not apply with the line segment under the commuter rail with the intercity railway services. B. Absent special circumstances related to specific as represented with the operation of the line with the segment, the FRA will approve the request for the relief under the paragraph of the rail line segment with the material of the following criteria. The carriage less than 15 million gross ton annually. This does not have the heavy grade, but this heavy grade is defined in statute 232-107 of this chapter with any train with the operating over the track segment where the railroad adopts to comply with the operating rules requiring the crew to any of the train approaching the working limits established under the statute 214 of the chapter notify the roadway workers in charge of the train approach with at least 2 miles in advance of the working limits or if the train crew does not have an advanced knowledge of the working limits as soon as practicable. 4. The carriage of fewer than 100 cars containing the poisonous inhalation material per year and excludes those cars containing only a residue that is defined in statute 171A of this title of the poisonous inhalation and hazards. The carriage of 2 or fewer trains per day carrying any quantity of the poisonous inhalation material. When the train carrying any quantity of the poisonous inhalation materials operated at a speed not exceeding 40 miles per hour, where any train transporting a car containing any quantity of the poisonous inhalation material that is operated with the vacating blockhead of any behind the train. C. The FRA may, in discretion, approve of the other track segment and not use the regularly provided with the intercity with the commuter passenger service the equivalent lesser level risk of the positive train control preventable accident and positive inhalation materials released on those track segments covered by the paragraph B4-3B of this section, which says that other track segments are similar to those covered by the paragraph B4-3B of this section. Failure to submit the sufficient information will result in the denial of any of the requests filling the paragraph B42 for the request for the grant of the after the day of the line would have otherwise been required to be equipped. Under the schedule contained within the positive train control implementation plan, the proof of the FRA of the operation of the line should be conducted within accordance with any of the condition with the attached with the grant, with including the implementation of the proposed mitigation of the applicable line sale. FRA does not approve of the removal of the line from the positive train control implementation plan exclusively based upon the representation of the track segment will be abandoned or sold to another railroad. In the event of the track segment is approved for the abandonment of the transfer of the Southern Surface Transportation Board, the FRA will review the request for the transferring, requiring railroads whether the requirement of the installation of the positive train control on the line should be removed given all of the circumstances, including expected of the traffic, the hazardous material level, the reservation trackage for the haulage right, and transferring railroads routing, analysis on part 172 of the chapter. Commercial and real property arrangement of meeting the effect of the transferring and acquiring of the railroad post-transfer for the such other factors that may be relevant to continue with the safety operations on the line. The FRA designed for the requirement for the acquiring the railroad shall install the positive train control system on the schedule for the providing the transferring railroads the positive train control implementation plan without regarding whether the class of 1 railroad new railroad passenger service no intercity of the commuter railroad passenger services shall commence after December 31st, 2015 until the positive train control system certified under this subpart has been installed on made operative. Hazardous detectors, all hazardous detectors integrated within single with the train control system on the after of the October 16th, 2008, which should be integrated in the positive train control system required within this subpart. The warning shall be appropriately designed, enforced, and described an appropriate applicable positive train control safety plan. Applicable positive train control safety plan must be provided with the receipt of the representation of the locomotive engineer, other train crew member, the warning from any of the additional hazard detectors used for the positive train control data network. Onboard displays audible alerts to the positive train control safety plan with the provided for the action to be taken within the system by the crew members shall be specified. Positive train control D plan or is applicable with the positive control safety plan for the new service described in the statute 236-1007 to be conducted above 90 miles per hour, which shall include the hazards analysis describing the hazards relevant of the specific routes in question, potential of the track obstruction due to the events of the falling rock or under the mounting of the track structure due to the high water of the displacement of the bridge over navigable waters. The basis for the decision concerning the hazard detectors provided for the manner of the water manner in which such additional hazard detectors will be interfaced with the positive train control system. Event recorders. Each lead locomotive is defined in Part 229 of the train equipped with operating with the positive train control system required by this part must be equipped with an operative the event recorder site which shall record safety critical training control data provided for the locomotive and engineers display for the locomotive and required to comply with. 2. Specifically included text messages conveying the mandatory directive for the maximum authorized speed of the positive train control system, brake warning of the positive train control system, braking enforcement, the state of the positive train control system, cut in, cut out, active, or failed, and include the example of how the captured data will be displayed during the playback along with the format with the content, the retention, the duration, requirements specified with the positive train control safety plan supported with the approved pursuant to this paragraph, and as such the train control data can be calibrated against other data required by this part, but they may be at the election of the railroad be retained within separate memory module. 2. Each lead locomotive is defined in Part 229 manufactured in the serving after the October 1st, 2009, but they equipped with operating with a positive train control system required with this part shall be equipped with the event recorder member of the module meeting with the crash hazard hardening requirements of Statute 229, 139, 135 of this chapter. It's nothing in this subpart accepts compliance with any of the event recorder requirements contained in the statute 229-135 of this subchapter. Switch position of this chapter. Which switch position the following will require to apply with respect to the determining of the proper switch position under this section, which when the main line with the switch position unknown whether properly aligned with the train's route within the advantage for the train move with the positive train control system will provide warning with the condition associated with the following. And enforcement of the positive train control system shall enforce the restricted speed over any switch where the train movements are made with the benefit of the identification of the wayside for the cab signal system or the other similar applied with the method of device and simple equivalent safety proposed to the FRA with approved of the associated administrator in accordance with the part and whether the wayside cab signal system or the other simple applying with the method device of the system of the equivalent safety required of the train to be operative. The restricted speed positive train control system shall enforce all the positive stop shorts of any of the mainline switch and any switch of the sliding of where the allowable speed is excess of 20 miles per hour if the movement of the train is over the switch is made without the benefit of the indication of the wayside of the cab signal and other similar appliance for the method device system of the equivalent safety proposed of the FRA with approval of the associated administrator according with this part. 2. Would create an unacceptable risk, including the condition with the transversing the switch and event low speed could result in a direction conflicting with the movement of any other train, including the hand-operated crossover between the main track with the hand-operated crossover between the main track with any other adjoining siding with the auxiliary track hand-operated switch and providing the access for the another subdivision and branch line, etc. Positive control system required by this subpart shall be designed, installed with the maintained to perform the switch for the position detection with enforcement described in paragraph E1 and E2 with the section except for the provided with the paragraph with the justified of the applicable the FRA approved positive train control development plan and positive control safety plan. The control circuit with the electronic equivalent for all the movement authority with overall any switch of the movable point frogs and derails shall be selected. Through circuit control over the function with the functionally equivalent devices operated directly with the switch points real the switching locking mechanism thoroughly relay electronic devices controlled by a circuit controller or functional equivalent device for each of the switch of the movable point frog the element of the governed with the circuit of the electronic equivalent shall be arranged so that the movement of the authority is less restrictive than those prescribed in the paragraphs E1 and E2 of this section can only be moved provided with each of the switch movable point of frog or derail in the route of the governor in the proper position shall be made in accordance with the subpart A with the G with this part unless it is otherwise provided in post positive train control safety plan approved under this subpart. Alright, F. The train-to-train collision. A positive train control system should be considered to be configured to prevent train-to-train collisions with the meaning of the paragraph in the section of the trains required to be operated with restricted speed with the onboard positive train control equipment enforced from the upper limit to the railroad restricted speed of the rules 15 to 20 miles per hour with the application applied with the operating condition over which the trains are required. The signal indication operating a rule. Stop before continuing to reduce the speed with restricted speed. Continue with restricted speed until encountering with a move with a favorable indication or as provided with the operating rule. 2. Operating trains within the limits of the joint mandatory devices. G. Temporary rerouting. A train with equipped with the positive train control system as required with the subpart, but may be the temporary rerouted onto the track. Not equipped with the positive train control system as in the train. Not equipped with the positive train control system may be temporarily rerouted onto the track. Equipped with the positive train control system as required with the subpart with the following of the circumstances of the emergency in the event of any emergency, including conditions for the such a derailment, flood, fire, and tornado, hurricane, earthquakes, other similar circumstances outside of the railroad similar control that would prevent usage of the regular use of the track. The rerouting is applicable only with the emergency conditions cease. To exist no more than 14 consecutive calendar days unless otherwise extended with the approval of the associated administrator of the railroad provided the written with the telephonic notification for the application regional administrator of the information listed in paragraph I of this section with one business day of the beginning of the rerouting made in accordance with this paragraph. 3. The conditions contained with the paragraph J of this section are followed. The planned maintenance for the event of the planned maintenance for the would be and preventive of the usage of the regular use track if the maintenance period does not exceed 30 days. The request for the file of the application regional administrator in accordance with the paragraph 1 of this section not less than 10 business days prior to the planned rerouting. 3. The paragraph contained in the paragraph J of this section are filed in H. Rerouting request. For the purpose of the paragraph G2 for this section, the rerouting request shall be executing unless the applicable regional administrator responds with a notice disapproval of the rerouting or the providing an instruction of the rerouting. Such instruction may include the providing additional information for the regional administrator or associated administrator prior to the commencement of the rerouting. One of the regional administrators responds within the notice under the paragraph. No rerouting may occur until the regional administrator or associated administrator provides his or her approval. 2. In the event of the temporary rerouting described in paragraph G2 for the section with the not exceed 30 consecutive calendar day, the railroad shall provide with the request for the accordance with the paragraph 1I and J with the section shall be the section with the associated administrator not less than 10 business days prior to the planned rerouting. The rerouting shall not be commenced until the receipt of the approval of the associated administrator. Alright, I. Content of the rerouting request. Alright, each notice request for the reference for the paragraph G and H for this section must be indicated with the dates for the search for the temporary rerouting will occur, the number of the type of the trains that will be rerouted, the location for the be effective for the trains, the description of the necessity for the temporary rerouting conditions, rerouting with the operation under the paragraph G of this section may occur under the following condition. When the train is not equipped with the positive train control with is rerouted on the track, equipped with the positive train control, or a train is not equipped with the positive train control system that is not capability of the functional responsible for the positive train control utilized at the line to which the train is being rerouted. The train shall be operated in accordance with the statute 236-129, 1029, whether the any train rerouted onto the track or not equipped with the positive train control system, train shall be operated with the railroad in accordance with the operating rules of the applicable to the line with which the is rerouted. Rerouting is cessation. The applicability regional administrator may order the railroad to cease any rerouting provided within the paragraph G and H for this section. Alright, Statute 236-1006, equipping locomotives operating with a positive train control on territory. Generally, except for the provided with the paragraph B of the section, each locomotive itself is with a train on any track segment with a positive train control system shall be controlled by a locomotive equipped with an onboard positive train control operative to follow the operative the function in accordance with the applicable positive train control safety program plan approved under the subpart exemption prior to December 31st, 2015. Each for the railroad required to do the positive train control shall include with the positive train control implementation plan specific goals of the progressive implementation on the board system within the deployment of the positive train control equipped locomotives such that the safety benefits of the positive train control are achieved through the incremental growth of the percentage of the control of the locomotive operating with the positive control lines. They are equipped with the operative positive control onboard equipment. The positive train control implemented plan shall include a brief but sufficient explanation of how these goals will be achieved, including the assignment of the responsibility within the organization. The goals shall be expressed for the percentage of the trains operating with the positive control, equipped with lines equipped with the operative powered on positive train control operative responsible for the wayside expressed as an annualized calendar year percentage for the railroad as a whole. 2. Reserved on and after December 31st, 2015, a train control with the locomotive with the onboard positive train control operative that has failed en route with the permitted to operate in accordance with the statute 236-129. A train operated by the Class 2 or Class 3 railroads, including the Taurus Exclusion Road control with the locomotive, is not equipped with an onboard positive control operative that is permitted to operate on a positive control operated with the track segment. Thereafter, that either has no regular scheduled intercity commerce, passenger rail transfers, B has regularity scheduled intercity commuter passenger rail traffic and applicable to positive train control implementation plan permits for the operation of the train operated by the Class 2 or 3 railroad controlled by a locomotive not equipped with any onboard positive train control apparatus. Alright. 3. On or after December 31st, 2015, the train control with a locomotive with onboard positive train control apparatus that failed en route permitted to operate in accordance with statute 236-1029 for a train operated with a Class 2, Class 3 railroad, include tourist or collision railroad control with locomotive not equipped with an onboard positive train control is permitted to operate with a positive control operated track segment that is either has no regular scheduled intercity commerce passenger rail traffic, has regularly scheduled intercity commerce or commuter passenger rail traffic applicable to positive train control implementation plan operating with a train operated with a Class 2, Class 3 railroad out control locomotive not equipped with onboard positive train controlled apparatus. 2. An operation restricted with the forward and left for the unequipped trains per day when the trains conduct with the turn operation moving to point of the interchange with the drop of the pickup of the cars, returning on the track of the owner with the Class 2 or 3 with the contributed two trains for the purpose, whether the movement is either not exceeding 20 miles an hour miles in length. To the extent any movement exceeds 20 miles in length, such movement is not permitted without controlling locomotive being equipped with an onboard positive train control system after December 31st, 2020. With applicable Class 2 to Class 3 railroads, will be report to FRA in progress of equipping each of the necessary locomotive with an onboard positive control apparatus to facilitate continuation of the approval of the movement. The progress of the report shall be filled with not later than December 31st, 2017. If all necessary locomotives are not equipped on December 31st, 2019, freight yards for the purpose of the freight switching service of the freight train and service of the locomotive considered for the train may operate with an onboard positive control apparatus installed operation where the onboard positive control apparatus is otherwise required by this part only if any of the following 6 requirements of the conditions are met. 1. The locomotive consists of the train must be engaged with the freight weight switching service to the freight transferring train services, including the yard, local industrial hostling services movement in connection with the assembling or disassembling of the trains and work trains. The movement must originate with either in the yard, within 20 miles of the yard, within the yard its final destination point with the locomotive. The locomotive consists of the train should not travel point except for 20 miles from its point of the entry with a positive control and equipped with the mainline track. 5. Speeds of the locomotive. The locomotive consists of the train should not exceed the restricted speed except that there is no other locomotive. The locomotive consists of the train operating with any other part rerouted with operating onboard positive train control. No working limits are established on Part 214 with a chapter on any of the part of the route, either any of the air brake tests on the Part 232 chapter that is performed with which the locomotive consists of the train must exceed speed not exceed 30 miles per hour on the air brake test of the Part 232 with the chapter is not performed in which the case of the locomotive consists of the train proceeding at speed not exceeding 20 miles per hour. The speed of the locomotive consists of the train shall not exceed the restricted speed of the positive train control equipped track with the route terminal. The route locomotive of the train is protected against conflicting with the positive train control system with sufficient operating rules to protect against the train-to-train collisions as specified with the positive train control SP safety plan. The FRA may, in its discretion, approve yard movement provide procedures other than yard movement procedure with the paragraph 5B51 and through B56 of the section positive train control safety program, or request for amendment equivalent greater larger safety level of safety requirements of the paragraph B51 B through B56. The sections in which procedures are similar to those of the B51 to B56 of this section. 7. When a locomotive consists of the train operative on board the positive train control apparatus may assist with the locomotive. The locomotive consists of the train operating with the operative onboard positive control apparative for the purpose. Such a locomotive malfunction rescue locomotive cars to add or remove the provide with the precise movement of the restricted speed. See, when a train movement is conducted with the expectations described in paragraph B4 of the section, where the movement shall be made in accordance with the paragraph statute 236-129. Onboard positive train control apparatus. The onboard positive train control apparatus should be arranged for each of the members of the crew at the time of the form of duty for the locomotive that can receive the positive train control information displayed in the same manner to execute any function of the necessary to the crew member of the duty of the locomotive. The engineer shall not be required to perform functions related to the positive control system when the train is moving, but while the train is moving, but they have the potential to distract the locomotive engineer for the performance of other safety critical duties. The onboard positive train control apparatus may be distributed to multiple locomotives. Similar such functionality is included with the applicable positive control safety plan approved with under the subpart of the controlling locomotive should be equipped with the fully operative interface that they comply with the paragraph D1 of this section and the consistency with Appendix E of this part. 236-1007 additional requirement of high-speed services. The positive control railroad will conduct the passenger operation greater than 60 miles per hour with the freight operation greater than 50 miles per hour with the should include with the positive control system and including the working in the concert with the technology that includes all safety critical function attributed with the black signal system meeting of the requirements of the part with including the appropriate and following circuits breaking of the rail detection equivalent safeguards in addition with the requirement of the paragraph B.A. of the section with the host of the railroad conduct for the freight with the passenger operation at no more than 90 miles per hour having approved with the positive control safety plan establishing with the system was designed and will be operative to meet the fail safety operation criteria described in Appendix C of this part. For unauthorized and unintended entry of the main line from any track not equipped with the positive control system and compliant with the subpart by the placement of the slip point G rail with the equivalent means to integrate with the positive control safety system complying with the statute 236-1029. C. In addition, with the requirements of the paragraph A and B of this section, the host railroad with the conduct of the freight with the passenger operation at more than 125 miles per hour shall have the approved with the positive control safety plan accompanied with the other document HSR 125 establishing the system. One will be operated with a level of safety comparable to that achieved over the 5-year period with the submission with the positive control safety plan by the other train control system with the perform positive control function with required for the subpart which has been utilized with a high-speed rail system with a similar technical operational characteristics in the United States of the foreign services provided with the use of foreign services. Data must be approved by the associate administrator before submitted with the positive train control safety plan has been designated detecting current incursions in the right-of-way, including the incidents involved with the motor vehicles diverging with the adjacent roads and bridges where conditions warrant. In addition, with the requirement of the paragraph A and C of this section, host railroads will conduct the freight and passenger operation at more than 150 miles per hour, which is governed by the rule of particular applicability shall be approved by the positive train control safety plan according with the HSR 125 developed as part of the overall system safety plan approved by the association administrator. A railroad providing existing high-speed passenger service may be requested in the positive train control system safety plan with the associate administrator excuses the compliance with one or more requirements of the section upon showing that the subject service has been conducted with a high level of safety. 236-1009 procedural requirements. Positive train compliant implementation plan. By April 16, 2010, each host railroad is required to implement the operating of the positive train control system in accordance with the statute 236-1005B, which shall develop and submit with accordance with the 2036-1011A positive control implementation positive train control system required within under statute 236-1005. Yeah.